Hello everyone, it's Mike here at Journal Mode, and I'm just looking into the case of Prince Harry's victory, in a way, over the newspapers in a settlement ahead of their trial in the High Court. Now, if you're not aware, Prince Harry and the former deputy leader of the Labour Party, Lord Tom Watson, they were going to the High Court to seek damages for a number of newspaper articles that The Sun and the News of the World both wrote about the pair. Mainly the focus of the media attention on this has been on Prince Harry because he's the high profile figure in this. He's already successfully got damages from the Mirror Group newspapers last year. And this is part of his crusade against tabloid journalism in the past, where he felt, particularly in this case, that between 1996 and 2011, a number of stories were intrusive to his private life and were sold into newspapers and printed. And obviously, the intrusion was just not right, as he rightly feels. But the case is quite significant. So the news group newspapers, they own the News of the World and the Sun. They have actually apologised to both Prince Harry and Lord Tom Watson about what's happened to them and how they gathered these news stories for their respective newspapers. Now, the most significant thing is, and you'll stay at the statement here, is that not only have they apologised, but for the first time, they've admitted that the news group newspapers carried out unlawful activities to gather news stories on these two people. Now, obviously, this is quite big, but there's two reasons. One is actually they've not blamed the staff, the editors, or reporters actually working at the two titles. Well, mainly the Sun. They've blamed private investigators. But the other thing is the fact that, news group newspapers have paid out £1 billion to more than 1,000 claimants who say they've had, for unlawful activities, the intrusions into their personal lives, as I should say, sorry, and that have, been detrimental to their mental health, their physical health, and into their private lives. It's quite big what's happened. And a lot of people be wondering, why has Prince Harry settled? Now, Prince Harry has settled, as I said, it's a crusade against tabloid journalism, which were intrusive into his private life and caused him distress, not only to himself, but to Prince William and obviously Princess Diana. We all know how the press intrusion into her life unfortunately contributed to her death and her life in her later years. Prince Harry has spoken a lot about how tabloid journalism, the private investigators, the intrusion into his personal life has affected his mental health, his lifestyle, and this is his second win. So the statement here by the news group newspapers, it's a full apology, and it also says here, quite crucially, NGN also offers an full and unequivocal apology to the Duke of Sussex for the phone hacking, surveillance and misuse of private information by journalists and private investigators instructed by them at the News of the World, which is something we all knew. Obviously, the News World is now closed down. It had a massive phone hacking scandal, and the use of private investigators and legal activities to gather news stories. And that, which obviously included hacking phones, and obviously some of the victims were, Millie Dowler was a big one, the murdered schoolgirl, alongside victims of terror attacks, army men, celebrities, politicians, many people. So that's what it's also referring to. And NGN also says here, NGN further apologised to the Duke for the impact on him of the extensive coverage and serious intrusion into his private life, as well as the private life of Diana, Princess of Wales, his late mother, in particular during his younger years. And it goes on to say about the distress caused to the Duke, the damage inflicted on relationships, friendships, and family. So that's more referring to how his relationship to his brother, his father, which has been well documented at this point. So here's a lawyer for both Prince Harry and Lord Watson and their statement about this settlement.
In a monumental victory today, News UK have admitted that The Sun, the flagship title for Rupert Murdoch's UK media empire, has indeed engaged in illegal practices. This represents a vindication for the hundreds of other claimants who were strong-armed into settling without being able to get to the truth of what was done to them. After endless resistance, denials, and legal battles by Newsgroup newspapers, including spending more than £1 billion in payouts and in legal costs, as well as paying off those in the know, in order to prevent the full picture from coming out, News UK is finally held to account for its illegal actions and its blatant disregard for the law. It has also specifically admitted wrongdoing against Tom Watson and admitted unlawful acts by The Sun, as well as by the News of the World against Prince Harry. The truth that has now been exposed is that Newsgroup newspapers unlawfully engaged more than 100 private investigators over at least 16 years on more than 35,000 occasions. This happened as much at The Sun as it did at the News of the World, with the knowledge of all the editors and executives going to the very top of the company. What's even worse is that in the wake of the 2006 arrest of a royal correspondent, there was an extensive conspiracy to cover up what had really been going on and who knew about it. Senior executives deliberately obstructed justice by deleting over 30 million emails, destroying backup tapes, and making false denials, all in the face of an ongoing police investigation. They then repeatedly lied under oath to cover their tracks, both in court and at the Leveson public inquiry. At her trial in 2014, Rebecca Brooks said, "When I was editor of The Sun, we ran a clean ship." Now, 10 years later, when she is CEO of the company, they now admit when she was editor of The Sun, they ran a criminal enterprise. Far from being relics of a distant past, many of those behind these unlawful practices remain firmly entrenched in senior positions today, both within News UK and other media outlets across the world, wielding editorial power and perpetuating the toxic culture in which they continue to thrive. It's perhaps no surprise that all of their senior executives and editors refused to turn up to court to give evidence. The failure of each of these key individuals to come and answer questions under oath spoke volumes in itself, but their collective silence is deafening. Today's result has been achieved only through the sheer resilience of Prince Harry and Tom Watson, whose willingness to take Newsgroup newspapers to trial has led directly to this historic admission of unlawfulness at The Sun. It has only been by taking Newsgroup not just to the steps of court, but inside the courtroom itself, that these claimants have finally managed to extract this historic admission of guilt. As a direct result of him taking a stand, Prince Harry and his immediate family have also had to repeatedly withstand aggressive and vengeful coverage since starting his claim over 5 years ago. This has created serious concerns for the security of him and his family. The rule of law must now run its full course. Prince Harry and Tom Watson join others in calling for the police and Parliament to investigate not only the unlawful activity now finally admitted, but the perjury and cover-ups along the way. It is clear now that this has occurred throughout this process, including through sworn evidence in inquiries and court hearings, in testimony to Parliament, and until today's final collapse of News Group's defence. Today, the lies are laid bare. Today, the cover-ups are exposed, and today proves that no one stands above the law. The time for accountability has arrived. Thank you very much.
So if you weren't aware, the trial at the High Court was due to start on Tuesday, but it was delayed at least 3 times by a request in the court. Reading between the lines, it was because I think they were trying to get a settlement. They were trying to get this settlement signed up and a statement and an apology written, and approved by both parties. That was why we didn't get anywhere on Tuesday. And that's why on Wednesday it was announced that Prince Harry and Lord Watson had both reached a settlement. Now, obviously, it was in the Sun's interest to settle. Now, obviously, as I said before, the Sun has paid out more than £1 billion to over 1,000 claimants in recent years in relation to activities carried out by the News of the World and to some extent the Sun as well. This trial could have, like it was with the Mirror Group newspapers, as we saw last year, it would have seen a lot of allegations about the use of private investigators and possible reporters and also the editors, that they would have all gone in court. It would have all been heard in the public, and it would have been reported in the media. Now, obviously, the Sun, it would have defended themselves. They would have challenged these claims, but obviously, hearing these details, I mean, whether or not they're to be proven true or not to be true, is still quite damaging for a bit, not only for the business that's still running, but also the Sun brand, which obviously at this rate is still toxic, but it's still going, and obviously they're trying to distance themselves from this period, which is understandable. So that is why it was in the best interest for the Sun to settle. But in terms of Prince Harry, some may cynically say he settled for the money. Obviously, he's away from the royal family. He stepped away from royal duties. He's living in America now with his wife Meghan Markle and their 2 children. But cynics will say that he's done it for the money. I don't think he's really done it for the money. What he has done is really to get that apology from NGN, to get that apology and it to be made public, to really to acknowledge the distress and invasion into his private life. But it's also, as we see in the statements, to get them to admit that there were unlawful activities carried out by the Sun, and that is quite crucial. Now, obviously, NGN is owned by News UK, which is a brand that is owned by Rupert Murdoch, and obviously Rupert Murdoch has his own legal issues with the ownership of his business and its media empire. But this is quite significant. It was really a case of Harry's victory over the press that hounded him all those years ago, and the profound impact on his mental health, which you have to say is fair enough. And I think that it's really important that it's highlighted, because what's happened has happened. It's also very interesting as well to hear what Hacktoff said as well, and I'll play their statement now.
I'm joined now outside the Royal Courts of Justice by Nathan Sparks, Chief Exec of Hacktoff, the group which has campaigned against press intrusion. Nathan, good to see you. A victorious day for Prince Harry and for Hacktoff.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's really extraordinary what we've had today, because 1,300 claims have been settled by News Group newspapers over the last over a decade. This litigation has gone on now, and they've paid out over £1 billion over that period settling these claims, all to maintain this argument that the Sun was not involved in illegal behaviour of any kind. And yet today, finally, they have admitted that actually all of that was untrue, that the Sun was involved in illegal activities.
And it was that admission that was key for the Duke of Sussex, wasn't it?
Absolutely critical. And News Group has relied on this to dodge accountability through independent press regulation, through the second stage of the Leveson inquiry. In response to all of those, to try and suppress all of that, they have repeatedly come back, and this is one of the things they've said: this was limited in our publisher to the News of the World, it didn't happen at the Sun, and now finally they've come out and admitted that it wasn't true. Illegal behaviour did occur at the Sun newspaper.
So there you go, that was the statement from Hacked Off. So obviously as well, Prince Harry's win was also a victory for other claimants who have sought damages from NGN and News UK. Many who do not have the money to really take these cases to the High Court. So that's why it was a victory for them. It's not a victory just for Prince Harry, but it's a victory for everyone else involved. As I said, 1,000 people have been, more than 1,000 claimants have received payouts from the company. Also, is interesting as well is obviously it's where do we go from here? Now, obviously, Rebecca Brooks was editor of both titles, The Sun and News of the World, during this period, and while she was cleared in a criminal trial for illegal activities, she is, CEO of News UK. I think what Prince Harry and obviously the statement that's been put out, it puts into question further her position, also what she knew and didn't know. And that's why it's what Prince Harry has done is to get that, obviously, that acknowledgement of unlawful activities of the company, but also further challenge what higher ups knew and those figures who are still around. So it's really interesting what has happened. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts in the comments below. So in short, it wasn't about the money. It's really just for representing other people, other claimants who are unable to really take the Sun to court and get these full and frank apologies from news group newspapers, but also to add more. There's more issues at play here. So I'll be interested to hear what people's thoughts are. Do you back Prince Harry's statement? Do you back what news group newspapers knew? Is there going to be more to come out of this? Is there going to be more claimants? And is there possibly criminal charges and cases to be brought against certain people? Who knows? Well, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Obviously, keep it civil, given it's Prince Harry. And I'm very surprised as well, despite all of this, the Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stories have continued in The Sun and other tabloid newspapers, even though Prince Harry has not got a very good relationship with papers. But yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you did like this video, please drop me a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I really would appreciate it. And hopefully on the screen right now, there should be some videos that you might be interested in. So give them a view, and I really would appreciate it.